This is a Bernie Sanders Brigade YouTube live stream, bringing you this breaking news update at the moment. Florida's Secretary of State, Ken Detzner, has ordered a recount in the United States Senate races, in the United States Senate race and the governor's race in Florida. This just in, the Florida official has ordered, according to CBS News, a recount in the Florida Senate and governor's race. This news broke in the last hour, and we're going to take you to the article showing that piece of information. Okay, here we are. Florida official orders recounts in Senate and governor's races, CBS News reports. Florida Secretary of State is ordering recounts in the U.S. Senate and governor's races, an unprecedented review of two major races in the state that took 5 weeks to decide the 2000 presidential election. As you may recall, in the 2000 presidential election, George W. Bush, the Republican presidential candidate, defeated Al Gore, the Democratic presidential candidate, by a little over 200 votes. The United States Supreme Court ordered the vote recount to be halted after George Bush took the state of Florida or actually Al Gore to court. Secretary Ken Detzner issued the order on Saturday after the unofficial results in both races fell within the margin that by law triggers a recount. The unofficial results show that Republican former U.S. Representative Ron DeSantis led Democratic Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum by less than 0.5 percentage points, which will require a machine recount of ballots. In the Senate race, Republican Governor Rick Scott's lead over Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson is less than 0.25 percentage points, which will require a hand recount of ballots from tabulation machines that couldn't determine which candidate got the vote. The ballot counting issues are centered in Broward County and Palm Beach County, two populous counties that tend to vote Democratic. On Friday, Scott won two lawsuits, one ordering the Palm Beach County election supervisors to submit, quote, overvoted and undervoted, end quote, absentee ballots to the Palm Beach County Canvassing Board for public review of each vote before they are counted. Overvotes are ballots in which the machines read that the voter may have selected more than one candidate, and undervotes occur when the machine does not register a vote on the ballot. The other lawsuit ordered the Broward County election supervisor to release records of voter information. Scott and President Trump have claimed, without offering any evidence, that Democrats are tampering with the election. Mr. Trump wrote a tweet Saturday afternoon that seemed to allude to the recount, saying, quote, trying to steal two big elections in Florida. We are watching closely. And we are going to take you to these images live right now, right outside the Broward County Supervisor of Elections office. There are protesters from the Ron DeSantis campaign that have actually assembled. So we take you live right now to this live stream that is taking place at the moment.
The Lord, you will not perish. You should go to the Democrats right here. They're the ones that rejected That's right. They believe abortion and gay marriages.
Once again, these are the supporters of Republican gubernatorial candidate Ron DeSantis, who are outside the Broward Supervisor of Elections office protesting what appears to be the call for a recount. I got a big sign now. I got a big sign now. We'll try and do our best. We'll try it. All I can do is try and block them out this time. Quiet, settled. You should go now. I'm controlling them. DeSantis is now your governor. Rick Scott is now your senator. And Donald Trump is now your president. Thank you. I'm a lieutenant governor right here. So if a little bit over there, I've got to have a those guys, everybody always gets
be simple, people.
Mike, get your receiver on?
You wanna take this?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Check.
Gabby, give me, I'll put it in.
No, thank you. Thank you.
My name is Carlos Lopez Dentera. I am the sitting Lieutenant Governor of the state of Florida. I'm here happy to now announce that the state of Florida has completed counting ballots. Governor Scott, as we do on Tuesday, is the senator-elect of Florida. It is unfortunate that we have seen such blatant irresponsibility from the Broward Supervisor of Elections and Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. The voters of this state expect that they should know how many ballots have been cast and by for who on election night. That is what the state statutes provide. These supervisors of elections were blatant violation of state statute. They had deadlines that they ignored, and there will be, I'm sure, consequences in the future. But for right now, we're happy that the first count is done. We are moving on to the statutory machine recount, and the deadline for that is later this week. And I don't expect that the outcomes will change much.
You said they're violating state statute. Can you be more specific?
They have violated state statute. For instance, they were supposed to report every 45 minutes to the supervisor of elections of the Department of State, and they did not do that. They could not even tell members of the press how many ballots they had left to count before they finished. They were blocking members of the press from observing what they were doing in their offices. These are very, very troubling things that undermine people's faith in the election numbers of Broward and Palm Beach County. And that is, as an elected official who is not on the ballot, I am just an elected official representing 21 million people here in Florida. And this is very troubling to see what happened in these supervisors of elections office. They clearly and blatantly ignored the law.
How has she been able to get away with this for so long? She's been about 20 years of questionable activity. So what do we make of her being found to be guilty now?
You should ask the state attorney for Broward County why they haven't moved on holding this this violator of the law accountable to the law. And I would expect that people will be asking more and more questions about that as the days progress.
Do you anticipate any specific repercussions at all?
I don't think that we should rule anything out right now. I think everything is on the table right now. The most important thing is to ensure that votes are counted, they've been counted, and that the will of the voters is what we see in those results, but not the will of people in back rooms trying to change outcomes.
What about the governor's race?
The governor's race, Ron DeSantis is the governor-elect of Florida. He still has a lead in the votes after the votes have been counted. Again, like I said earlier, the outcome from Tuesday night in that race hasn't changed.
Lieutenant Governor, this has been very divisive. You've been out here protesting, yelling at each other. What do you say to people at this Catholic perspective? Would you kind of turn down the rhetoric? Would you say that to them, or would you say keep it where it is?
I would say people should exercise their First Amendment right as they choose, but they should be peaceful about it. They should be respectful about it, and frankly, any frustrations that are being exercised here today lie solely on the shoulders of Brenda Snipes and Susan Booker. Because if they would have done their job correctly, the voters would have had an answer by Tuesday night. Miami-Dade County, the largest county in Florida with the most ballots cast, finished counting their ballots for the most part. I mean, 99.9% of their ballots early Wednesday morning. They kept counting per state statute, because the state law says that they are to continue counting until they're done. Miami-Dade County did that with over 800,000 ballots. Why couldn't Broward County do that and comply with the law? And why couldn't Palm Beach County do that and comply with the law?
Is that what they're doing now?
Well, it took them until today to finish what Miami-Dade County did in about 11 hours.
Lieutenant Governor, there's a long and meticulous process that has.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
There's a long and meticulous process ahead now of recounting all of these votes. What are your concerns heading into this process?
My concerns is that these people get their act in order and count or approach this recount in a manner that will give the voters and the citizens of Florida a little bit of faith in what they're doing in these offices.
And now we've got
supervising the process. How do you ensure or give people confidence that this process is going to go the way it's supposed to?
Well, all the campaigns have election supervision representatives in there. I will leave it to the people who have more experience on this, but I would very much like to see an orderly, responsible, and efficient count come out of Broward and Palm Beach County specifically.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Our gavel's over. Thank you.
She would like to have more staff. She doesn't have the staff.
Thank you.
She can take that up with her county commission because they set her budget.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. En español para Univision.
Como no, como no. I'm going to say a few words in Spanish. Mi nombre es Carlos López Cantera, soy el vicegobernador del estado de la Florida y ya, gracias a Dios, los condados han terminado y reportado sus números de la elección el martes. El gobernador, como supimos, es el próximo senador de nuestro estado, pero las cosas, la irresponsabilidad que hemos visto aquí en Broward y en Palm Beach County es algo que me molesta a mí y a muchos en nuestro estado bastante. Y de aquí en adelante esperamos que ellos se pongan de acuerdo con la ley cuando terminan de hacer el recuento que vamos a tener aquí en la Florida en los próximos 4 o 5 días.
¿Cuál es su mayor preocupación en este momento?
Mi mayor preocupación son las cosas que ya hemos visto, específicamente aquí en Broward County, donde han ignorado la ley de la Florida, en Palm Beach County, donde han ignorado la constitución de la Florida, que dice que la prensa y el pueblo tiene derecho de mirar y observar lo que está pasando en esas oficinas, y ellos hasta le dijeron a la prensa que tenían que salir y amenazaron con policías que lo iban a arrestar si no salieran. Eso no es aceptable, es ilegal y es inconstitucional.
Thank you.
I'll just say that at the very best, this is gross incompetence at its best.
This is the beginning.
This is the best case scenario. This is gross incompetence. I'll let others speculate on that.
Everybody, thank you. The availability is
Thank you
done.
very much.
The availability is done.
Lieutenant Governor, and next
Guys, I have no further comments.
I think this is you, right? You're welcome.
I'm trying. I don't have the camera on my shoulder, so I'm trying to hold my
We traveled all across this state, the primary and general process. We went to red areas, into blue areas, into purple areas of this state, and I fought hard for every single vote that we got. I fought hard even for the votes that I didn't get. And in this process, I am fully committed to seeing every one of those votes counted, whether they voted for me or whether they voted for my opponent, because that's what we do in a democratic process, in a democratic society. I'm determined in these next several days to use every opportunity within my power to ensure that there is a fair counting of every single vote. Today, a state-mandated machine recount will commence in the 67 counties all across the state of Florida. Our team has organized a cadre of hundreds of volunteers and lawyers to spread out all across the state of Florida to ensure to a fair and an accurate count in this process. Finally, I want folks to remember what this election is about. We're here because we want to make sure that the right that is guaranteed to all of us in our Constitution and certainly in our statutes is protected and that it is maintained. While this has obviously been a difficult election process for all of us who have run, this process is not over until every single vote is counted. To that end, I want to myself issue a call to my supporters and those who didn't support me, who may be supporters of other candidates, that the kind of violence and vitriol and bullying that we're seeing at some of these early precincts and these counting locations in Broward and in Palm Beach County and in other parts of the state, as these recounts commence, I would strongly urge that we all demonstrate the highest level of dignity and restraint. We can be for our candidates, we can be for our causes, without, in my opinion, resulting to moving toward any physical form of violence, using heated, racist rhetoric, or seeking to divide our communities any further than how we have already been divided. I am prepared to accept whatever the outcome is of this election, so long as every single vote in this process is counted. And to that end, our attorney, Barry Richard, who is here today, will answer some questions about the specifics along the way over the next couple of weeks that this process will take. I've got great confidence in Attorney Barry Richard. He is someone who I know not only loves this state as much as I do, he loves this country as much as I do. And he is as committed a patriot and as committed to seeing every vote counted as we are. Finally, I just want to issue a final thank you. Over the next couple of days, I'll do everything within my power, and I will use my voice in ways that I think try to lift this debate, that attempts to raise us out of the tribalism that sometimes tends to take hold. I'll every day remind my supporters what this is about, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us, all the candidates who remain in this now recount process, that we will compel people toward our better angels as we do what is right and what is in the best interests of the people of our state and the people of our country. And that is to reassure hope in the democratic process, not to undermine it and certainly not to shred it. With that, I want to yield the podium to my attorney, Mr. Barry Richard.
Before I answer questions, and I suspect you have a few, I want to make a comment on a recurring theme that I've heard since Election Day. I keep hearing the term deja vu. I keep reading and hearing people say this is a repeat of 2000. I want to tell you that I have a little personal experience with 2000, and this is not 2000. It's vastly, vastly different. So let me tell you very briefly why. In 2000, the recount system was entirely candidate motivated. There was no recount unless a candidate asked for it. The candidate had the right to designate which counties would be recounting the vote, and they motivated those counties. Within days after the election in 2000, there were 47 lawsuits filed. It went on for 36 days. This is not 2000. And the reason it's not 2000 is largely because the Florida legislature was determined not to allow a repeat of that, and it changed our laws significantly. Now the recounts are not generated by any action by the candidates. They're automated. And they're automated based upon the legislature's conclusion after study that a certain margin of difference between the candidates was sufficient to generate, to require that there be a machine recount in order to ensure that the vote was accurate. And then if the machine recount resulted in a lower margin of error, lower 0.25%, there would then be a hand recount statewide of the overvotes and undervotes. That's all automated. It's just an extension of the voting count according to Florida law. And that's the posture that we're in right now. So that's a great difference. The one thing, by the way, that has been consistent from 2000 until now, consistently adhered to by every court that's addressed it, including the United States Supreme Court and the Florida Supreme Court, is what Mayor Gillum commented on, which is that every vote must count. And that's what this entire system is designed to do. So with that in mind, I'm happy to answer any questions. I have something to start with. Your race right now is not within
Okay, folks, we have to briefly stop the live stream right now. This has been Bernie Sanders Brigade YouTube live stream. The Secretary of State of Florida has ordered an automatic recount in the governor's races and in the governor's and senators' race. Thank you so much for joining us today. If there are any further updates, we will make it available to you. We will report to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us, folks, and have a great day.